What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, it's been half a week, coming on for a week, since the release of OP-09 Emperors in the New World, so we need to do that thing where we check in and go, well, hang on a second, are the prices of Emperor in the New World crashing? And the answer is, well, yeah, largely, but, and I've said this a couple of times, but I really do think we need to say this again. I don't know what's going on with the Gold Manga Roger. Nobody knows what's going on with the Gold Manga Roger. There have been very few sales of that card so far. We don't have enough data. Like right now, TCG Player aren't even listing that card. Like on TCG Player, that card, you just, when you search, you don't find it. So I think in a world where that is going on, you do just need to bear that in mind a little bit. Like over on eBay, we have had a couple of sales, but it's not very much. Like what I could do is go, well, this one sold for $4,350, this one sold for $3,500. I mean, yeah, but one of them shipped from Uruguay, so was everyone who's after it willing to buy one that's shipping from essentially not their home country? A lot of people want to buy, you know, if you're bidding on eBay US, you want to buy from eBay US, so yeah, I think it is coming down, the Gold Roger, and certainly $3,500 seems lower than a lot of the other sales we've got, but it's just another one of those where there's been so few sales of Gold Manga Roger that I do think the early $4,500 are gone. I don't think we're paying $4,500 yet. And certainly, you know, the 4.5 or just under 4.5 I showed you was like nearly a week ago. But I do think it's fair to point out that that card, it's still early, all right? How about ones we can say with a little bit of certainty? How about alternate art Luffy? I showed you the other day 3 sales, one for 90, one for 100, one for 220? No, mate. No. Don't be ridiculous. What do we got in terms of sales here? How about a couple in a row, one for 65 and one for 70? How about that? That's significantly lower. How about the most recent sale I can see right now, which is sitting up there for $55? Now, when it's a one-off sale for $55, you need to ask questions about condition and all of that, and maybe some people passed on it for some reason or another. I don't really know. But my point is, we still had one sell for $55. We've had a couple sell in the $65 to $70 range. And compared to, you know, it's $100, but somebody paid $220, the leader Luffy has just absolutely crashed, which makes perfect sense to me. Because what we need to do is compare this to other leaders. And, I mean, well, the example I showed you the other day is the leader Luffy. Like the leader Luffy from OP-05. And the reality is that leader Luffy from OP-05, it's still Luffy, it's still manga and all of that, but it's better, frankly. And here's a graph I showed you the other day, whereby we saw that it has actually recovered a tiny bit, but it crashed on release, went down to a $30 card, and it has recovered up to like a $65 card over a decent period of time. This new Luffy should not be higher than the OP-05 Luffy, which is a more playable card from a set which came out a while ago and is, frankly, harder to find. So, that's the leader Luffy. I also showed you, I mean, one of the most egregious ones I showed you the other day, as far as I was concerned at least, was the Monkey the Dragon Special Rare, which I showed you sales for $75 and $80. Well, the good news is it has come down a little bit. The last 2 sales we've got on eBay here are $65 and $50. But I got to tell you, there are a bunch of sales around the $80 mark, which happened a little bit before this. So I'm still pretty comfortable that this card is on the way down, don't get me wrong. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of people buying this card and selling this card for around about the $80 mark. And, like, am I missing something here? Am I missing something about this Monkey the Dragon? They've never been the most popular character. Their other cards have not proven to be particularly expensive. It's a decent card, but it's not some kind of card that's shaking up the metagame and popping up in decks here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah. This one, it's a little bit confusing to me. I think this might just be a new set bump. I'm going to be honest with you. The one that was going ridiculous the other day was the special rare Nami. And I showed you that the special rare Nami had sold for $175. Well, the good news is this special rare Nami is on the way down. The bad news is still way higher than it should be, as far as I can see at least. It's come down to $125. Last two sales have come down, they've both been $125. And let's be clear, that is a $50 drop from the $175 I showed you the other day. That is a significant drop in price. I know one of these listings says Japanese in the title, but it's clearly not a Japanese card. You can see by the scan, it's very clearly an English card. So I don't know why they got Japanese in the title. I wouldn't worry about it. But the Nami here, it's a $125 card right now. Still strikes me as a little bit high, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if we have a look at the Nami Special Rare from OP-05, that one dropped down to $100 and came back up to $130. I don't know, maybe that's fair. Maybe $125 is all right. Certainly not horrendous. I would still expect it to keep coming down a little bit from where it is. But it is another one of those where you can look at it and go, well, it is Nami, it is a special rare. You know, OP-09 as a whole is a great set. It is a set which is being hyped. So you could imagine that would then push up some of these prices. But we've still seen a $50 drop in less than a week, which I think I can be pretty justified in calling that a moderately significant drop. The other one I showed you was a wanted poster Luffy, and people were paying up to like $200 for that, which again seemed way too high. What have we got recently? Well, the last sale over on eBay was $100. £78, it was a British sale, but it came through as $100. Again, there is an argument here that a lot of people outside the UK might not want to buy from the UK, but the UK's still got a pretty healthy market for One Piece TCG singles, so yeah, $100 rather than $200. Again, pretty sizable downshift in the space of less than a week, which is exactly what we would expect. The other sales we're seeing more recently do tend to be around, and there's a bunch that are lower, don't get me wrong. So, I mean, this sums it up quite nicely. 3 in a row, one for $150, one for $135, one for $100. I think relevant that the 100 was bid, whereas the other two were just put up for sale and people bought them. So we are seeing sales of about $150 for this. Again, still significantly down from what they were before, but we are seeing this pop up more and more in the $100 range, which seems about right. $100 for this card I kind of get, but it's one of those situations where we have to wait a little while to really see exactly how it shakes out. But this does seem about right. And if we go and have a look at some TCG player graphs, we're going to see a lot more of this. The wanted poster Luffy was initially up at about $165. It's currently showing as a market price of $125, which honestly, from what I've seen on eBay, might be a little bit too high. But that's still, you know, that's in the range, shall we say. That's about where we would be looking here. $125 for this Luffy, again, significantly lower than what we saw on eBay the other day. And you can see that the graph on TCG Player, pretty sharp downwards trajectory here. Take a look at the leader Luffy, and we got a very similar thing. Started off at ridiculous pre-sale prices, but now we're looking at about a $60 card. And honestly, $60 for this leader sounds about right. That sounds like a sensible price for the leader. I mean, over $100, over $200 was always ridiculous. And it's like I always tell you guys every set, don't be buying these cards as pre-sale prices or on release or between pre-release and regular release. Just give it a little while. There are cards I'm going to pick up from this set as singles. There are absolutely singles from this set that I will be picking up. I'm just giving it 5 minutes for the cards to actually drop down in price. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret here. I'm kind of excited to play Lim when OP-10 comes out in English. I'm going to be picking up an alternate art leader Lim, but did I want to pay $40 on release? Nah. According to TCG Play now, it's looking at about a $25 card. Might, in the meantime, actually pick up a Japanese version. The Japanese version is absurdly cheap right now, which is weird because OP-10 is out in Japan. And like Limit's starting to win a little bit over there, so maybe I need to do that before it goes up and gets a bit ridiculous. But I'm excited to play Odyssey, not in OP-9. I don't think OP-9 Odyssey's good enough. But in OP-10, Odyssey gets a huge boost from the new Odyssey cards, and like OP-09 and OP-10 together make Odyssey pretty gosh darn good. The alternate art Crocodile, which has got the lovely Akira Igawa artwork, my favorite artwork in the set. I'm going to be honest with you, it's already down to $10. So maybe I'll just kind of buy this one now. Honestly, it's come down from about 20 on release down to 10. I mean, we all know a lot of these regular alternate arts, unless they're hyper playable, don't end up being particularly expensive cards. But you can see here, across the board, they are dropping. Yes, the gold manga is an awkward case. I told you that right at the beginning. And honestly, the manga rares are a bit weird as well. It's hard to know exactly where we're going with this. You know, I pulled the Manga Luffy from my box. I'm delighted. If we have a look, just a couple of days ago, we got 3 sales in a row for $1,200, $1,350, and $1,300 best offer accepted. So I look at that and I'm like, hey, my Luffy's worth about $1,300. That's wonderful. I have no intention to sell it in the short term, honestly. I love that card. It's sitting on my desk right next to me now. I'm enjoying it. But then, actually, the most recent sale we saw was $1,100. So it's already gone down by a couple $100 in a couple of days. I would expect this to keep going. Although, let's be clear, Manga Luffy is going to be the big manga card from OP-09. It is going to be the second biggest card after Roger. And it's not going to fall that low. Like, if I really decide I want to sell my Luffy, I'm going to be able to find a buyer paying a decent price for this, because it's Manga Luffy. It's still a great card, but let's face it, if I was desperate to get rid of this card, if I was desperate to try and get full value from it, I should not still have that card sitting on my desk. I should have sold it the second I opened it, because as I keep telling you guys, pre-sale prices, early prices, absolutely absurd, but they do start dropping pretty quickly. Mangas are dropping. Gold manga does honestly seem to be dropping, but it's a little all over the place. The other cards coming down nicely. It's only been a few days, and it really is dropping quite nicely. So that's what I've told you. That's what I've seen. Now it's over to you guys. What have you pulled from OP-09? What do you want to be picking up as singles? How long you're going to leave it? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.